Welcome back, everyone, to the BGF podcast, episode number 20. I'm your host, Gianluca, alongside of
Brandon.
And today, we got some little power rankings going for you guys. But before we get into that, Monday Nighters just happened yesterday. Brandon, Nick Chubb.
Yeah, that was a tough one to watch, seeing him get injured. One of the best at his position.
Yeah.
And it's just, the running back landscape right now just looks very tough. Saquon Barkley, we saw get injured as well this week. Yeah. Austin Eckler was injured during the week one. Just a lot of the top running backs injured. They're not getting paid. It's really tough for that position right now.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not easy, especially a guy like Nick Chubb, who's really, ever since he's been in the league, been healthy and just been a really tough guy. And to see him go down with that, I mean, I wish him a speedy recovery. I'm hearing the worst for him. It doesn't look too great for him. He might have torn a few ligaments. Hope he can come back. I hope he can be the same type of player he was. But we got to see. He is also getting up there in age for running backs.
One of the nicest guys in the NFL.
Apparently, yeah. He's a very nice guy, humble guy. And
always consistent. That's one thing with Cleveland. He's always been on a pretty trash team. But
you've always been there light.
You've always known what you're going to get out of Nick Chubb. So it's looking really rough for that Cleveland
what do you
team.
do? What do you do if you're Cleveland? You go sign Kareem Hunt? Like, what do you bring back Hunt?
I thought Jerome Ford looked pretty solid yesterday. It's just, obviously, he won't be your workhorse back. They also had Pierre Strong, who they acquired from New England during the offseason. I would say Kareem Hunt's probably a decent option. He knows that offense. He's been there in the past few years. So I think Kareem Hunt deserves to still be in the NFL, so I think that would be a good signing for them.
Yeah, what about a guy like Leonard Fournette? You take a chance on it? I know you like him.
Yeah, I would take Fournette. Like, when he was with Tampa last year and the years prior, he didn't really, obviously he was slowing down, but he still showed he was still a capable back.
Yeah.
Started and could take some carries, so he's definitely better than a lot of backs that are still playing right now in the NFL. So I would take a chance on Fournette if they can get Hunt.
No, that's for sure. And I mean, just looking at that Cleveland offense now without Nick Chubb, man, did it look horrible last night.
Yeah, I think it had a lot to do with Pittsburgh's defense, though. That Pittsburgh front is very scary, man. They can get pressure fast, and Cleveland's offensive line is known for still being pretty decent. It didn't look very decent yesterday. They were getting
cooked. TJ Watt got in there, leading Pittsburgh Steelers all times in sack right now, which is a crazy stat to have. Yeah, good on him.
As well, Alex Highsmith looked very good yesterday. He got that pick six, plus put a lot of pressure on the quarterback.
No, for sure. But how about them Niners?
Best team in the NFL.
How you feeling about that one?
I'll give credit to the Rams. They did look very good. I was impressed with that offense. One thing with them is they get the ball out really quick, which is something that McVay's offenses usually do.
Yeah.
And especially with a lot of young players, I think, with Stafford as well. It's worked out very well for them. Puka Nacua, 15 receptions.
Nacua is a legit league winner in fantasy.
15 receptions yesterday. He had 9 in week one.
He's had a total of 36 targets through the first 2 weeks of the NFL, which is
for a fifth round rookie. That's crazy.
That's you don't hear that often. That's just wild. I mean, good on the kid. Good on Puka for getting the targets. He's literally getting the Cooper Kupp treatment of 2 years ago.
That's why I wonder. Now that Puka Nacua is doing this, they don't really need to rush Cooper Kupp back.
No, they can take their time with Kupp. If he's not 100% by week 5, like they're saying, make him sit another 4 weeks. Rest up, and then imagine that offense with Kupp and Nacua.
I just wonder, though, with Cooper Kupp coming back, how's his production going to change with Nacua? Because one thing with Nacua, I think, he's solid. He's looked pretty good in the first few games, but if he was anywhere else than the Rams right now, he definitely wouldn't be getting this type of production. I think he'd still be productive, but not this productive, obviously.
Yeah, no, I think I'd have to agree. But just what a story for the kid, honestly. League winner in fantasy. If he's still on the waiver wire, scoop him up.
I traded him in the dynasty for getting Drake London, so I'm pretty happy
there. Yeah. Anyways, let's move on to
the Vikings.
More disappointing game of the week. Thursday nighter. Minnesota Vikings losing 34-28 to the Philadelphia Eagles.
Feels like that game was ages ago.
It does feel like that game was ages ago. And here's my thing, right? Like, if you can't turn the ball over more than more than 3 times in a football game and expect to win. Doesn't matter how close the scoreline looked. It doesn't matter what happened. At the end of the day, the Vikings turned the ball over 4 times. You're not winning no football game. We did it 3 times last week versus the Bucks. Almost beat them. We did it 4 times against the Eagles. Almost beat them, but we still lost. You gotta clean that up. That's very, very bad. Defense, though. 2nd week in a row. Look, the scoreline doesn't show it, but this defense played really good. If you watch the game, they were on the field a lot of the time. Philly, I think, had 40 minutes time of possession, which is just wild.
Just the run defense was kind of...
the run defense was kind of tired, but then again, that was second half, so maybe they were tired, the personnel-wise. I don't know. Who got to clean that up, obviously. But this defense is really impressed me throughout the first 2 weeks. This offense is sloppy. They shine in some instances. They look good. Justin Jefferson, you don't see that too often. Reaching for the end zone, fumbling it. Stupid rule in the NFL. Goes back out the end zone. It's a touchback. It's a rule. We can't complain. It happens. And
not really changed the game, in my opinion. Right
that
before halftime,
did change the game.
You could go...
We would have been able to lead.
Okay, they would have taken the lead.
Yeah.
That changes the game completely.
Yeah, that just doesn't happen. I mean, anyways, look, it happened. 2 losses in a row. We gotta move on fast. We play the Chargers.
Must-win game right here.
It's a very, very big game.
For both teams.
Very, very big game because, both teams are hungry, desperate for a win. And I think if Vikings clean up their turnover issues, they'll have this one. But we really got to clean up the turnover issues. That's bad.
Yeah, I think the Vikings will probably be all right, but they have no room for error right now. Now it's going to be...
No, we got to...
There's no more with these 4 turnovers, 3 turnover games. You gotta stay playing a clean game, and you gotta show up now against the Chargers and then Carolina after that.
I mean, look, we played the Eagles tough, and I mean, Kirk Cousins leading the NFL right now in almost every stat, which is crazy. I mean, guy is balling. He's playing on an MVP level, and Justin Jefferson's at 300 yards already, which is
without
nuts.
a touchdown.
Without a touchdown, we gotta fix that up, Kevin O'Connell. But anyways. Enough Vikings talk.
You want to get into Kwesi?
Let's get into it.
The power rankings. So how we're going to do it, we're going to have them ranked by 1 to 32, but we're also going to have them in tiers as well.
Yeah.
So you're going to see us, each tier we're going to talk about, we're going to put it on the screen, and you're going to see them for the whole video. So in our first tier, we got our most dominant tier, our top 2. Number 1, San Francisco 49ers. I know I'm a fan of the team, but the facts are there. They've been the best team in the league right now. And then at number 2, also a team I've been very impressed with, the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna have to agree with those 1 too. Obviously, I'd put the Niners ahead of the Cowboys just because I believe more in that Niners offense than Dallas is. Mm-hmm. But not taking anything away from that Dallas offense, it definitely has potential to shine. We just really haven't seen it shine yet. Their defense, on the other hand, is very, very good. Micah Parsons is an absolute animal.
This week he looked amazing.
An absolute animal. He's in there almost every freaking play. The Niners defense, we know how good it is. That Javon Hargrave signing is very, very underrated. He generates so much pressure up the middle. And then you got a guy like Nick Bosa on the outside who just...
Yeah, he's still yet to get going, really. You see how dominant our defense has been?
Without him.
Without Nick Bosa really having to do much. Drake Jackson... It's very nice to see him coming good. He also, I think he had a sack last game. But he played very, very well these first 2 weeks. Hargrave, Warner, Greenlaw, these guys are always going to be looking good. Ambry Thomas was very good for us this week. Isaiah Oliver, I wanted to give a shout out to, which I forgot for our game.
Isaiah Oliver, baby.
He played very well this week as well. So.
No, they really did. And obviously, looking at that offense, Christian McCaffrey is an absolute stud.
Yeah,
I think 2 games in a row.
If you were to redraft right now in fantasy, would you take McCaffrey? I think I would take McCaffrey 101. Did she his usage, bro? Elijah Mitchell, I'm very surprised. Elijah Mitchell is like a 0. I don't think he had 1 carry last. So I think McCaffrey had every single carry this week.
Which is really surprising considering the San Francisco offense and mentality and how Shanahan likes to run his offenses. Usually, yes, you have that number 1 RB, but it's more of like a 70-30 split than a clear cut like a 100 to nothing.
To me, with Mitchell, it's like that guy gets injured so easy that I'm not mad at it that early on they're not going to use him. Later on, maybe, but I would have liked later on in the game when the game was basically over at 30-10, or 30-20, sorry. I would have liked Mitchell to get the carries instead of McCaffrey. They were still running McCaffrey.
Yeah, don't tire out McCaffrey.
Yeah,
Keep him clean.
I feel like at that point in the game was wrapped up. You could have brought Mitchell in. They didn't. But besides that, I like seeing McCaffrey on the field a lot because this guy is an absolute game changer.
He is. And let's talk about that man in the back, Brock Purdy. Looks like the real deal, man. I can't even lie.
This week was probably one of his like lesser games, which shows how good he's been since he's come in. He did have 3 overthrows, one to Debo that was definitely going to be a touchdown, another one to Ayuk, which probably wouldn't have turned into a touchdown, but would have put us in good field position, and also one on Juwan Jennings.
Yeah.
That he overthrew him. So a few overthrows. Obviously, a young quarterback. He's gonna shake them off. You saw him in the press conference. He took all the credit. Like he said, "This is on me. I'm gonna be better next week. I'm gonna look at the tape." And I like Brock Purdy. He's gonna be a good for us.
I think he is. I think they found their quarterback.
Just with Ayuk though, he might not play this week because it's a Thursday night
protocol,
game.
right? Or
no, his shoulder injury.
He
was in and out during the game. Honestly, after he got injured on his second catch, I would have just taken him out completely. He was in and out during the game. So yeah, I think even without him, I think we should still be fine to beat the Giants. So.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna have to agree with that. But anyways, let's move on to the next tier, Brian. What do you got down there?
Our Super Bowl aspirations.
Ooh.
At number 3, we got the Miami Dolphins. At 4, we got the Eagles. 5, the Ravens. 6, the Chiefs, and 7, the Buffalo Bills in this tier.
This was an interesting tier because there's a couple of teams here that you just have them there, like the Philadelphia Eagles. On paper, they're a really, really good team, but if you watch their tape the first 2 weeks, they didn't look impressive at all.
But they're still 2-0. This is a team
they still are 2-0.
You gotta trust that you gotta give them the benefit of the doubt that they'll come good.
I know, but it's crazy to compare it to last year, right? Like early on in the season, they were just dogging teams out there. Jalen Hurts was running all over teams, and this year that defense looks sloppy. Jalen Hurts just, for whatever reason, doesn't look the same. I don't know if it's just me watching these games or.
I think their defense still looks pretty good though. Especially their defensive line. With them losing Hargrave, it still looks very. Jalen Carter looks very good on there.
Yeah.
I do agree with you though on Jalen Hurts. He does not look as confident as he did last year. Last year he was slinging it deep
it was nothing.
Yeah, and this year he looks like he is second guessing himself a bit, and especially running out of the pocket. It doesn't look as clean as it did last year.
No, for sure. Maybe it's that O-line's getting older. I don't know, but I don't know what it is. But Miami's an interesting one here. That offense is electric. Tua's looking like a really, really good quarterback right now.
He did have that one underthrow to Tyreek that ended up in an interception.
Yeah.
From was it Christian Gonzalez?
Big Christian, baby.
I thought he had a good game as well.
Who, Gonzalez?
Yeah, Gonzalez.
Gonzalez looks like a legit player.
Mm-hmm. It was a tough matchup against Tyreek, and I thought they played man like a decent amount of the game, and I thought he was pretty solid against Tyreek.
He definitely was solid. Christian, he was the second drafted corner in that class?
Yeah.
Or was it third?
Yeah, first was definitely Devin Witherspoon. He went later than I thought. I thought he was going to be a top 10 pick. He ended up going in the 17, 18?
Yeah, around that range. It was just, that was really low for Gonzalez. And I mean, obviously going to a team like the Pats where you got Bill Belichick as your head coach, obviously you know he's going to get the best out of players, especially the defensive side of the football. And the Christian Gonzalez looks really, really good.
I just think with the Pats, we'll get on to the Pats later on. But next up, we got the Baltimore Ravens. I think the first week they were whatever, but they still came out with the win. This week against Cincinnati, they look very good.
Yeah.
Especially with Mark Andrews being back, that gives just another option on offense. With Odell going out now, at least in past years, if one of their top receivers went out, it would be big time trouble for them. But now it looks like they've got the depth. They still got Bateman. Zay Flowers was as good as he was in week 1.
Mark Andrews is healthy.
Yeah, Mark Andrews healthy. Nelson Aguilar all of a sudden to something in this.
He's resurrecting. He's resurrecting his career. He says, "Fuck the Pats. Let me go to the Ravens and just do something."
So it's good to see with Baltimore they have more depth than they would in past years. Where if let's say Bateman got injured like he did last year, you're looking at Demarcus Robinson as your wide receiver 1. So it's nice to see depth for Baltimore, and I think their defense as well has looked very good the first 2 weeks. So I'm impressed with them, and they're definitely one of the top AFC. Is this Actually, they're the second best team in the AFC for us right now.
Yeah, as of right now, for sure. And also, Gus Edwards, not Bus, sorry, the Bus. Gus Edwards, the Bus. Looks pretty solid, honestly. Very, very big back. Running through people. Like to see that. Obviously, JK went down for the year.
Yeah, that touchdown. But Justice Hill, I was surprised Justice Hill had a decent amount of carries. I think
he would. It was a pretty even split, I want to say. I'm not sure the exact details, but I feel like it was pretty even. But yeah, no, anyways, let's move on. After that, we got the Kansas City Chiefs. These guys are an interesting team.
I'm not impressed right now.
Not impressed with them at all. Obviously, reigning defending Super Bowl champions. You get Travis Kelce back, and you're only able to muster 17 against the Jags. Obviously, the Jags are much improved. The one thing about KC that's really impressed me, honestly, early on is their defense.
It has been very good.
It has been very good. You add a guy like Chris Jones back in this week, and you hold the Jags to 9 points. That's impressive. I don't know if they got a touchdown, even the Jags. Let me just double check that, or was it all field goals?
Even in week 1, like I know they gave up 20-something points, but I thought they were even impressive in week 1. Like this is a Kansas City defense that is usually the downfall of KC. Usually you just think of KC and you think the offense is going to get them through games. And so far in these first 2 weeks, it's been the defense.
The defense has been holding them up. Obviously, the Kansas City receiving core is very sloppy. They have a case of the drops at the moment. We'll see if they bounce back.
It is a new receiving core. It's still early on, so they are the Super Bowl champions. So I'll give them the benefit of the doubt in these power rankings. Right now they're at 6 for us. So I think this is fair for them. I don't think there's any of these other teams that should really be ahead of them right now. And although they didn't look too great on offense this week, you did beat like a very solid Jacksonville team. Who
a lot of people were expecting big things.
Including us, to take a big jump this year. So I think KC 6 is pretty fair for them. And then you look at 7, we got the Buffalo Bills. Week 1 was pretty disappointing against... You know what? They went up against a good Jets defense, but you lost to Zach Wilson.
We saw what Zach Wilson did.
We saw what Zach Wilson did this week. Terrible against that Dallas defense. But they bounced back in week 2 against the Raiders.
A very, very big win for that. Josh Allen kept it clean. No turnovers on the day. Completed 31 passes, 274 and 3 touchdowns. One guy that really impressed me was their running back.
Latavius Murray. And
James Cook as well. They both looked really, really good. James Cook, 17 carries for 123. That's 7.6 a carry. This kid looks really good.
I didn't realize it was that good.
No, he looked really good out there. And then on the receiving side of things, Gabe Davis had a game, 6 for 92 and a touchdown. Maybe emerging as the wide receiver too. Not too sold on that. I think it's more a case of, the Raiders not having the best secondary, and Gabe Davis was pretty much open all game.
It's encouraging for Buffalo that Stephon Diggs, he had a decent game. Would he have five receptions?
7 for 66.
Oh, 7. But like watching the game, he didn't do like too much. You didn't have to rely too heavy on him, and you're still able to blow out a team like the Raiders. They look like the old Bills again.
They did. They did.
I think it's safe enough to put them at 6. You could argue that they could be above the Chiefs, but the Chiefs did beat a better team this week, so
yeah, I'm not
it's
there yet.
It's debatable, yeah. So I think at 6 is pretty fair where we put them.
I agree.
Now moving on to our next tier, the impressive starts tier. We got at 7 the Detroit Lions. At 8 we got the Rams. 9 the Seattle Seahawks. At 10 the Jaguars, and at 11 the New Orleans Saints. Or actually, no, we're gonna move down to New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, put them in exactly
I'll
that
put them
tier.
Yeah,
there you go.
So yeah, forget the Saints. We got the Jags here. These are teams that people expect to take jumps, minus the Rams. And I think they've been, like, in terms of the Lions, Jags, and Seahawks, people expect them to be like a team that could take a jump. I think they've been like, I've been on the fence with them. They've had 1 week where they've been like really good, and another week where they've been whatever. Like with the Lions this week against the Seahawks was the week where they were kind of whatever.
Like I told you, right? Week 1, they went up against the Kansas City Chiefs offense that wasn't able to catch the football. I wanted to see this defense go up against a competent receiving core, and they got blown out. Yeah. 37 points is horrible. You can't allow that. I don't care what anyone says. You lose a guy like Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. That guy was the rock on this defense. So now let's see how good this Lions defense is without him. Personally, I think they're not going to be too great. Offensive, on the other side, looks pretty decent. Jared Goff looks like a decent quarterback right now. And for whatever reason, he's accurate throwing the football. He's making the right reads. Obviously, he had that pick in that game, but
could have had the record for.
Could have had the. It was on the line. Just pressure got to him, whatever it was. But offense still put up 31 against the Seahawks. Looks pretty decent. Want to see them go up against a tough team, and we'll see how good these lines really are. But for me, I'm not sold on it.
And who we have at 8, who's really been an impressive start, the Los Angeles Rams. I was expecting these guys to be on like the basement of the league. I was expecting to be one of the worst teams, and you can't doubt Sean McVay. He's gonna have this offense always playing good. He's always gonna. That's one thing with, a good NFL coach. If they play to the players, they have strengths, and that's one thing with McVay. He'll always play to his players' strengths. I think that's what he's doing right now. They have a young team. They're betting on themselves. No one really expected nothing from this team
at all.
I think they could battle for a playoff spot. Like the NFC hasn't been anything too impressive, and I think they could definitely challenge for a wild card spot. I don't think they can win the division, obviously, but between them and the Seahawks, I think it's gonna be a good battle.
No, for sure, I agree, and obviously Matthew Stafford, looking like his old self, had 55 pass attempts in that game, which is a bit high for me, but still completed 34 of them for 307, a touchdown and 2 picks. But just negative game script. He had to throw the football, but he looks good. He looks like his old self. Kyron Williams actually looks like a decent running back.
He's the workhorse now.
Better than Cam Akers, that's for sure. And I mean, Puka Nacua went over that kid. Just absolute 20 targets.
Even Tutu Atwell has played a part.
20 targets.
Tutu Atwell's played a part there. And even, they threw the ball 55 times, but their running game was pretty good. They had the ball a decent amount of time. In the second quarter, they had the ball for, most of the second quarter. They were able to...
The best was when Matthew Stafford busted a run. Started scrambling. That was the funniest thing.
They were able to stay in front of the chains with Kyron Williams, so that's what got them the ball for a long time. And I'm impressed with this Rams team. I think they got a shot at the playoffs.
No, I'm going to have to agree. And then moving on, after the Rams, we got the Seattle Seahawks, who did bounce back this week, which was very important for them. Geno Smith looked like he had a very solid game. I mean,
he beat the fraud allegations.
328, 2 touchdowns. Kenneth Walker didn't have a great game on the ground. Wow. 17 carries for 43. He had those 2 touchdowns, which helped him out. But I mean, then you look at a guy like Zach Charbonnet, only got 4 carries, but he got them for 16 yards. 4 carries a pop's a lot better than 2.53.
I would love to see Zach Charbonnet get more opportunity in this offense.
I agree. Obviously, the receiving core did its thing. One receiver that I'm really surprised about is JSN. I felt like he would be utilized a little bit more in this offense. He did have 5 catches, but only for 34. It looks like his routes are short, always to the sticks. Really playing that slot role and nothing else, which, I guess coming into a team where you have DK and Lockett, that's kind of what you have to expect. Defense, on the other hand, looks very, very bad for the Seahawks right now. I don't know what it is, but this defense is not as good as people thought.
Yeah, but look at it on paper.
It looks...
It's nothing special.
It's nothing special. It's young. It's, you got some young pieces at secondary. Maybe that's why, but Pete Carroll's going to whip these bunches up and figure that out, that's for sure. But, what do you think about the Seahawks team? You're the division rival.
I thought they looked pretty good. I was kind of disappointed because I thought that week 1 was the real Seahawks. I was hoping for it at least. And I thought they looked alright, especially because Tyler Lockett came out in that week 1. I think that made a big difference having Tyler Lockett back for them.
Yeah,
he had a pretty solid game. Metcalf came in and out of the game. Early on, he got injured. But the Seahawks are going to be they're going to be in the conversation, in the hunt for a wild card spot this year. The Rams are going to be battling. The division's going to be better than expected. Because even the Cardinals are shit. They're going to be the worst team in the division. But they've been playing hard the first 2 weeks. They almost beat the Giants.
They're competitive, man. Yeah. I mean, you look at this team. They're feisty. They're not the best team on paper whatsoever, but they play hard. And, they want to win football games. They just don't have the talent. And this division, I like that point you mentioned earlier with the Rams and Seahawks. I feel like it's going to be a very interesting battle to watch for second place.
I wouldn't be surprised if we have 3 teams that make the playoffs. So it's very possible. And also with the Lions, though, who we forgot to... Josh Reynolds, these first 2 weeks, he's been a very big player in this offense. He's caught a lot of balls from Jared Goff and has been one of his favorite options.
Yeah.
So that I'm surprised with. Also, like I said, with Lockett, he had 8 receptions this game, so 8 receptions for 59.
It's pretty good.
And he had 2 touchdowns.
And he had some huge clutch grabs, especially in that overtime drive. Very, very clutch grab.
Still, at 30 years old, he's still making plays. He's one of those guys who is kind of...
age is like fine wine.
People don't talk about him much, but he always produces.
Age is like some fine wine.
So now, do you want to talk about the Jags?
Yeah, let's just mention them quickly. Jags, what do you think about them?
I thought week 1, Calvin Ridley looked amazing. I think
Really
Trevor
good.
Lawrence had a few really nice throws in week 1, but in week 2, the offense was just stalling. It was really Christian Kirk was the only option for them. Calvin Ridley was kind of non-existent. Zay Jones did nothing. I know he got injured at one point.
Yeah.
And he came back. He was whatever. I think Christian Kirk, who did nothing in week 1, was the opposite this week. And ETN was banged up. Just a week to forget for the Jags. I think they're playing the Texans in week 3.
Very
so they're gonna look to bounce back in week 3. I think they should easily get a win. Something that helps them is their division is very weak, so they're always gonna get wins there, and they're gonna win the division by probably default. Maybe the Colts, but Richardson injured now too, so
I don't know about that one, especially when they are out. I don't know.
The Jags are definitely the heavy favorite for that, so they'll always get their wins there against the Texans, the Titans, and
yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, just one thing I didn't understand, Etienne was banged up in that game. You're still rushing him as the 1. Why don't you bring out Tank Bigsby?
Mm-hmm.
You drafted him for a reason, as your 2. Use him. He's a big back. Get you a few tough yards. I don't know. Just whatever. Interesting game script there, but yeah, let's move on.
Mm-hmm. Now we're at the surprise 2-0 tier here.
Yes,
where
sir.
We got the Saints, the Falcons, the Bucks, and the Commanders. All these 4 teams, no one really expected these guys to be 2-0. Maybe the Saints, but I think their schedule really helped them out, these 4 teams, getting them to a 2-0. We saw the Commanders. Well, let's start with the Saints. We saw them yesterday play against the Panthers, a very weak Panthers team who I don't think is going to win many games.
No, don't look too great.
One thing with the Saints offense, the receiving core is looks like a top... Would you say it's a top 10 receiving core in the NFL?
On paper, yes, but when you're looking at the game script, they don't play like it. If that makes sense.
I think all 3 of them
I mean, your highest receiver was Chris Olave, right? 6 for 86. Then you got Rashid Shaheed, 4 for 63, and Michael Thomas, 7 for 55. They get targeted.
Yeah.
They have the potential. They just don't make big plays. They don't have... I don't know. They don't make big plays. It's weird.
And even Taysom Hill was utilized a lot. He came in as a wildcat.
Yeah, 9 rushes for 75 yards. That's huge.
It's just Derek Carr. Especially that interception he had. I don't know what. That
looks bad.
He has brain farts, because what was he throwing at 3 guys in the area where he threw to Olave?
Just chucked it up.
He chucked up a prayer, man. That was.
But the one thing about this Saints team that is legit is that defense is really, really good. Obviously, you play the Panthers this week. Maybe not the best offense, but still, you just shut them out. And that defense was all over the place, pressuring, just defending passes and everything. Marshawn Lattimore's a stud.
Pete Warner as well.
Pete Warner's freaking good. And, very,
you're
very,
gonna have
very
guys
good
like
defense.
Mario Davis. They're a solid team, but yet again, they're going to be they could challenge for the division between them and the Falcons, I think.
Yeah.
And I think the Falcons are a better team, though. Who we'll move on to next.
The Atlanta Falcons.
They had a very nice comeback win against Green Bay this week. Bijan Robinson. I'm going to take my victory laps here. He's looking like a top 3 running back in the NFL right now. He's obviously second in the league in rushing yards, getting a lot of targets on the passing game. And Tyler Algier, who everyone was worried about in week 1, was kind of a non-factor in week 2. Bijan Robinson was the alpha.
I mean, you know what? These numbers are a lot scarier than I thought. Bijan Robinson had 19 carries. Tyler Algier had 16.
Oh, he had 16. It didn't feel like 8.
It didn't feel like he had 16 because he only averaged 3 yards a pop, whereas Bijan was getting 6.5. But I honestly did not think it was this close.
I still don't think it's something to worry about.
I hope not. Bijan is a stud. I can't even lie. After watching 2 weeks, he's legit.
He's still getting the goal line. Well, they're kind of splitting the goal line, but it's not just like in week 1, it was just Algier was getting everything.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's nice to see Drake London finally be implemented in this offense.
Mm-hmm.
That was very, very nice to see. And then, how about them Packers? All I was hearing week 1, Jordan Love's the best rated quarterback in the NFL. What did he do this week? He lost to the Falcons.
He was very good in the first half, and that honestly, the first 3 quarters he was very good.
He collapsed.
He's a young quarterback. I still like this Green Bay team. I'm still pretty high on them.
Nah.
We're gonna get into them later on, but yeah, Jordan Love was pretty good. Just he couldn't. The fourth quarter, he couldn't.
Couldn't move the chains when he needed to.
But
AJ Dillon was averaging 3.6 a pop.
he's gonna learn from this game.
Yeah, whatever. If you think so.
I was impressed with Jaden Reed as well. Jaden Reed looked pretty good as for a rookie wide receiver. Next up on our rankings, it was Tampa Bay.
Yeah. So the Bucks. I got these Bucks.
They played 2 pretty weak teams in the NFC North. No, I'm trying.
The first game was gifted to them.
Yeah.
We gave them 3 turnovers. You got to win a football.
But
look, you know what?
They did what they had to do. They came out with the win.
They did what they had to do. One thing about this Bucks team is they have a very, very stingy defense. They play you tight. They play you tough. I will stand by this. I think they're the best 2 linebackers in the NFL.
Whoa.
No. Listen, these guys fly. I understand Fred's a stud, but
Dre Greenlaw
is also good. But listen, they probably have
I say they're top 3.
Arguably best linebacking duo in the NFL. These guys are studs. Their secondary too is really, really good. Their D-line is good. Their defense just in general has just impressed me a lot. And that's how they're going to win some games. Baker Mayfield, obviously, he's Baker. He's we know what he is at this point. He's not the best quarterback, but still,
he's
getting the job done. Threw the ball all over that Bears defense, which was to be expected. Rachaad White looked pretty decent in the run game. But then again, you are playing the Bears. And the Bears absolutely suck. And
we're going to see where we got them in these powers.
Let's see where we got them. But yeah, no, impressive start for this Bucks team. Just want to see more from this offense, if possible. I want to see them do this thing, put up 27 against a competent defense. And the Bucks are going to be a serious contender if that's the case. And
all 3 of these teams, that NFC South, we expect it to be very weak. They got 3 2-0 teams right now.
3 2-0 teams, 1 0-2, so we'll see what happens.
I think the circumstances helped them a lot so far in the first 2 weeks.
Big time.
But they're still 2-0. You can't take that away from them.
That's true.
And the last team in this tier, we got the Washington Commanders, who are coming off a huge comeback win against Denver. Denver choking it again. And we'll get into Denver later, but man, they are very disappointing. Washington, Brian Robinson has been very impressive these first 2 weeks.
It's a coming out story.
Week. He's run the ball very well for Ron Rivera's team. Sam Howell, better this week, I thought, than last week.
A lot better. He went 27 for 39, 299, and 2 touchdowns.
Terry McLaurin was involved. I'd like to see more Jahan Dotson. I was expecting a lot from him, and it's been pretty mediocre.
Yeah.
Him. And as for Washington's defense, that defensive line is always going to be solid. It's been one of the best in the NFL so far. So, yeah. It didn't start off well, but it ended off well. Second half, Washington was very good.
7 sacks. That D-line.
Exactly. It's one of the best in the NFL.
7 sacks is crazy. And I mean, it's nice to see Emmanuel Forbes get a pick there. Very nice pick on his end. And this Washington defense is legit. This Washington offense, if Eric Bieniemy can get it rolling,
looks like KC's missing him right now.
It looks like it. I mean, hey, who knows? Who was running that offense? Andy or Eric? I don't know.
If you take LaShawn McCoy's word, it was all Andy Reid. Eric Bieniemy is useless, according to LaShawn McCoy.
That's true. Anyways, let's move on to the next one.
The next tier, decent starts tier. All these teams are 1-1 right now. We got the Colts, the Packers, the Jets, the Titans, and the Raiders. All these teams started off decent. We'll start off with the Colts. This week we saw Anthony Richardson started off the game very well, 2 rushing touchdowns, and it's just unfortunate to see such a promising player go out with a concussion. Hopefully it'll be good to play next week, but we're wishing him
speedy recovery
from this concussion. Gardner Minshew came in. He looked
pretty good. He looked pretty good.
He looked good, but it was the Texans.
It was the Texans, but still, I mean, hey, look at Gardner, 19 for 23, 171 and a touchdown. It's pretty decent. Yeah, that's pretty decent.
Yeah, when did he come in? Did he come in the first quarter?
No, it was
the second quarter. It was definitely in the first half, though.
It was the second quarter, most likely. Yeah, because Richardson's still in here.
We saw Michael Pittman was still very heavily involved in that offense. Even him, I was I was confused why people weren't taking him in fantasy earlier. I don't know why he was going solo.
I liked it. I got him.
I didn't have a chance to take him, but he was a guy I was always interested in, just couldn't get him.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
I thought, as for the Texans, I thought their offense was very impressive. I thought Stroud was a lot better than in week one. He looked kind of lost, and this week, second half, he looked pretty good. Nico Collins, Tank Dell are looking like the real 1-2 on that offense. Nico Collins looking legit, like big time legit.
He's looking like a legit wide receiver 1, and I mean CJ Stroud's looking like a legit quarterback after that week. So, and we'll get into the Texans later when we cover them, but
they look
very impressive.
At least there's a bit
game.
of promise with them. Next up, the Green Bay Packers. We went over them quite a bit in that Falcons game. I'm still in on them.
I'm not in on them.
I think it was just a young team, but they're young all over the field, on offense at least, and I think they just weren't able to execute on offense. They'll learn from this and they'll get better. Hopefully they'll get Watson and Dobbs back, but I thought they were pretty good. Actually, no,
Dobbs is playing. He's a non-factor. The guy is not a great receiver.
He was good in week.
Neither is Christian Watson. When he comes back, he's going to be exposed. But anyways, it's another story.
Well, I think Jaden Reed's the best receiver on that.
I think this receiving core is just weak in general. I don't like anyone on that receiving core.
Even not done Trevion Wicks, whatever. He played a little part. I think it's going to be like a committee receiving core. They're pretty decent.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see what Green Bay can do against the.
You're talking to your division leaders right now, so.
Oh wow! big time win against the Bears and Falcons, losing, choking it. Wow, I'm so impressed.
The top of the division.
I'm so impressed.
When are you guys playing them? Week 5, 6?
Later. I can't wait to smack them.
Oh, you guys are playing them late in the year?
Later. I can't wait to smack them.
Next up, we got the Jets. We know what the story is with these Jets. Very elite defense. Well, elite defense. And just nothing on offense. That offense was a complete zero this week. Like, Garrett Wilson got that one big TD for like 68 yards. Besides that, there was really nothing much happening there.
I mean, you had Tyler Conklin basically as your leading receiver, 5 for 50.
And we also
minus
can see
Garrett Wilson.
Dalvin looks cooked. he got a fumble. Didn't do much. Breece Hall, and it was really Michael Carter was the only guy in.
No, look at these rushing. Actually, Zach Wilson was their leading rusher.
How much?
5 for 36. The second highest rusher was Breece Hall with 4 carries. Dalvin Cook had 4 carries. Michael Carter had 2. Ashton Davis. It was just a non-fact. Yeah. They completely avoided the run game.
And it's kind of sad for this Jets offense because if they don't require a quarterback, I think they're not making the playoffs. There's no way they can make the playoffs with Zach Wilson.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, they were talking about that hype with Rodgers. I'll be back for the playoffs, this and that. But I'm sorry, buddy. I don't think you're making the playoffs.
I don't know why I don't get like a Brissett. I think Brissett would be perfect for him.
They don't like Jacoby.
It looks like they're just happy to stick with Zach Wilson.
Exactly.
I don't know about happy, but I think they're just gonna stick with him.
Zach attack.
Next up, let's move on to the Tennessee Titans, who had an impressive Week 2 win against the Chargers. The Chargers, who I continue to put my trust in, and they continue to not pay it back to me. These guys, just when it gets to the clutch, they can't produce. It's just, I don't know what to say. But Tennessee, their offense, Treylon Burks was a factor in this offense.
I was happy to see that. I was so happy to see Treylon Burks.
I wish he could have got that touchdown on that long pass, but he ran out of gas towards the end.
He ran out of gas. He couldn't believe he was getting targeted. He just stopped running.
Yeah. And Derrick Henry. Let me pull up the numbers.
Tajay Spears
that's what I was
really,
gonna say.
really good.
I was going to say, Tajay Spears is playing. It's rare we see a second running back in this offense take carries away from Derrick Henry, but on third down, it's been a lot of Tajay Spears.
He looks really, really good. I mean, Derrick Henry was the clear-cut workhorse. He got 25 carries for 80 yards and a touchdown. Tajay had 8 for 49, averaging 6.1 a pop, which is really, really good. I mean, I kind of want to see more Tajay in this offense. I can't even lie. I want to see what this man does with the football. Obviously, I don't think they're going to go away from Derrick Henry. I think he's the workhorse on that team. Receiving core with Ryan Tannehill throwing the football is always going to be weak no matter what. Just hope the Treylon Burks production can keep up. But Jeffrey Simmons is a difference maker on that defense. Wow, he is good.
That run defense is... That defensive front in general is just amazing.
He is locked down. And I'm
surprised though for their receiving core that it's very split 3 ways between Westbrook, Akina, Burks and DeAndre Hopkins. I was sure DeAndre Hopkins would at least be like
The
clear-cut one
yeah.
on this team. He hasn't been yet. I'm very surprised on that. So I was going to say stuff about the Chargers, but we'll talk about them pretty soon. Let's just move on to the Raiders for now. They did get absolutely smashed by the Bills we talked about earlier. It was looking promising at the beginning of the game.
They were leading.
They scored the first touchdown of the game. They're up 7-0. You're thinking, do we have a possible upset on the cards with how Buffalo looked in week 1? It was not the case. Devontae Adams got banged up yet again in this game. No Jacoby Myers. It was
Jimmy Garoppolo,
picks. That pick that he threw to... what was the one that the defender got over? Who was it? Was it Matt Milano? I think it was Matt.
Yeah, it might have been Matt.
Matt Milano. That was a pretty bad pick from Jimmy Garoppolo where he threw it to Josh Jacobs. It's just... it gave me deja vu seeing another one of those picks that he threw where he got the happy feet. Those happy feet where he starts going... you know what I'm talking about.
Where he starts like...
you see him start panicking, throws the pick, I'm like, wow, I don't miss this at all.
I like that. He gets the happy feet where it's just like...
he starts panicking and picked off! Yeah, so the Raiders, they're going to be one of those teams where I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. They're going to be kind of just maybe in the hunt, but I just think they're going to miss out, and it's going to be very similar to last year. And not much to say here on the Raiders.
No.
Next up, we got the disappointing starters in this next tier. The Chargers, the Vikings, and Bengals. These are 3 teams we all expected to have good starts to the season, and it just hasn't quite happened. They all started 0-2. First off, we'll start off with the Chargers, who we were talking about earlier there with the Titans. Keenan Allen had a super... it's just... Week 1 and Week 2 were a very different game. We saw in Week 1 against Miami. Miami played off them quite a bit. Like, they didn't want to get beat deep, so they ran the ball. They were very good in the run game.
Yeah.
With Josh Kelly and Austin Eckler. And Week 2 was a very different story. They come up against one of the better run defenses in the NFL, in the Tennessee Titans. They completely shut down the run game. It was a lot of people, including me, they're Josh Kelly in fantasy. Nothing was happening there. They threw the ball all game. Keenan Allen was a recipient of a lot of that work. He got 8 receptions for 111 yards and 2 touchdowns. An elite game for Keenan Allen. And if he can stay healthy, you should expect more of this from him. Mike Williams as well, 8 receptions, 83 yards. They took a bulk of the receiving work.
Surprised with the Quentin Johnson, man.
Yeah, I think... anyway, with him, I'm not going to panic. I think he's a good receiver. It's just Mike Williams and Keenan Allen are the 2 alphas on this receiving core. I doubt these 2 stay healthy for the whole season, so at one point he'll get an opportunity to show himself.
Yeah.
And he'll be integrated. So I think if you're a Quentin Johnson believer, don't panic. I think it's still early days on that front. And it's just that defense is so disappointing with the Chargers. Like you got guys like J.C. Jackson, Derwin James, Asante Samuel. You got Joey Bosa, who he was pretty good this week. But they just can never get the job done. It's just disappointing. Like J.C. Jackson he's fallen off from what they signed him for. What he used to be. From when he was with the Pats, man. He's getting targeted now, man. He's just not great.
No, that's it. Anyways, moving on to my Minnesota Vikings. Went over them pretty much earlier on. Just, they got to bounce back. Mm-hmm. They got to clean things up. I still think, in my opinion, there's still hope for this team. I still think they can get the job done at 0-2. Obviously, you got to play some perfect football. And Vikings made a huge free agency signing literally yesterday. Some people might not realize how big of a signing it is. But as a Vikings fan, just knowing that Ed Ingram won't be starting anymore makes me so happy, because we signed Dalton Risner off free agency, coming in right there at guard, plop him in, get rid of Ed Ingram. This man was like the downfall of this O-line. Darrison O'Neal on the tackles are elite. Your middle is very, very bad, but it's somewhat okay in the run game. Then you add a guy like Ed Ingram. This guy cannot defend. This guy cannot block no one. Happy that Kwesi acknowledged his mistake. He drafted him as a 3rd-round guy. He was supposed to be a plug-and-play starter. Didn't work out. I'm happy that Kwesi acknowledged this and went after Dalton Risner. I think it's 2 games too late, but whatever, it is what it is. Competent guard now, coming into that O-line, helping us out in the run game, hopefully giving us some holes. And, giving Kirk Cousins some time. He wore a jersey in practice one day with his number on it, Dalton Risner's number, Kirk Cousins, out in practice. He just came out as number 66, and it was a shot at the front office to sign Dalton Risner, but it was just like he played it off as a joke. But man, I think Kirk Cousins sleeping like a baby last night, knowing that he won't be on his ass for the whole game, and just I'm excited. You know what? That was the signing that we needed. You need to change some things up. 0-2 is not a great start. Fix what was an issue, which was that O-line, and now hopefully they fix the turnover problems, and let's get it going. Let's start the season, man.
Yeah, you were telling me on Thursday about your thoughts on Kwesi and his drafting, with the Lewis Seen draft pick, the Andrew Booth pick. What do you got anything to add on that?
I mean, look, the thing with Kwesi, right? It's only 2 seasons, so you can say what you want, but
it ain't looking good, bro. Besides the
sample size isn't too great. He has this Moneyball tactic, which I fucking hate. Like 2 years ago, you're drafting in the mid-20s or whatever the pick was. I don't remember the exact number. We trade down to 32. Why? You had Kyle Hamilton in your right there. That was the pick. No, you trade down and get Lewis Seen. Okay, fine. Comes off an injury last year, season ending. He's still not 100%, whatever. But he is currently safety 5 on the depth charts. Bro. Then you draft a guy in Andrew Booth Jr., second rounder. He's supposed to be this elite corner, has all this potential, but he's a walking glass. Like, this guy's made of glass. Can't stay healthy. He's always off the field. He's a cornerback 5 in the depth charts. Whatever. Last year, though, when you don't use your Moneyball strategy, you stick at pick 23. You draft your fucking receiver, Jordan Addison. You hit. If you would have traded down and drafted I don't know. I don't know, man. But, yeah, I hate the Moneyball shit. His best, in my opinion, trade was TJ Hawk. His best move was the TJ Hawkinson trade. I think that's huge. When he sticks at his draft and does what he has to do, he drafts decent players. Round 1, we got Jordan Addison. Round 3, which was our second pick, we got Mekhi Blackman. Not Mekhi Blackman. Oh my God, I'm blanking right here. The corner on the team that Brian Flores really loves and looks really good throughout 2 weeks of the season. So just stay and do your fucking job. His most underrated signing was Ivan Pace Jr. This kid is legit.
Isn't he one of Flores' guys now?
He's one of Flores' guys. Flores wanted him, went after him, got him off the... He's an undrafted free agent linebacker who's ranked one of the best linebackers in the NFL after 2 weeks. Absolute stud. Very nice story. If you want to look it up, just check that out. But really nice story and really happy for the kid.
Let's move on to another very disappointing team in the Cincinnati Bengals. Where do we start with these guys, man?
There's an issue on this team.
You could very much tell that Joe Burrow is still playing injured.
Yeah.
He is not at 100%, and I don't know why they rushed it. Like, every year these guys are going to start off 0-2, it feels like. Jamar Chase, another guy who has not had much production. It's really been T. Higgins, the only guy that's been able to produce on the receiving core. Yeah, Joe Mixon, not much. It's been very disappointing for Cincinnati so far.
Yeah, and then you saw at the end of the game, Joe Burrow re-aggravates his calf. Or I believe it was his calf.
Yeah, kind of.
Whatever it was. It's just not looking great for Cincinnati. People are saying that, he gets paid, he doesn't want to play anymore. I doubt that's the case. I think Joe Burrow's a competitor, but...
Mm-hmm. He's a very good quarterback. It's just, this guy's playing out. I don't know why he's going out.
Why are you rushing him?
I don't know who the backup is for them. Who would be? I'm going to check it out here.
I don't think it's a great quarterback. But anyways, why do you rush him? Make him sit...
Jake Brown.
Oof. Make him sit the first 2 weeks. Even if you're 0-2, at least you're going to get a healthy Joe Burrow back week 3. And
you're 0-2 playing him anyway, so...
You're 0-2, and now you have a potentially re-injured calf, which is not great.
The offensive line is just shit. It is all the time.
I don't know.
They've tried to strengthen it the past years, and it's just
hasn't worked. They can't generate any pressure on defense.
They released La'el Collins. It's just looking rough for them. And if they don't get I don't know who they're playing in the next weeks, but if they don't get their act together, they could fall behind real quick here and be one of those surprise teams that just doesn't make the playoffs. And you'd expect right now in that division, it's very hard to predict that division right now because we're looking at the Steelers. Week 1, they look terrible. Yesterday, their defense looks very good. Cleveland, who knows what's happening with them. So I think Baltimore right now would be the favorite for this division. They've looked.
I agree. They've looked the best out of everyone. Bengals playing the Rams on Monday night or next week. That should be an interesting game.
I'm taking the Rams.
I think I'm taking the Rams too.
I looked at the odds, and from what I remember, Cincinnati was still favored because it is at home in Cincinnati. But the way the Rams are rolling right now,
I'm taking the Rams all day.
I take the Rams. They were close to beating probably the best team in the NFL in the Niners. So I think they could easily disappoint. Upset the Bengals. We'll move on to our next tier, which is probably teams that it's called no playoffs. These 4 teams are probably not making the playoffs. A very rough start to the season for these 4 teams. We have the Cleveland Browns, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the New England Patriots, and the Denver Broncos. We'll start off with the Browns, who we saw play yesterday on Monday Night Football, especially now with Nick Chubb not in the fold, who is basically their offense.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of done for the Browns. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs now, which is unfortunate because is it Jeff Schwartz, their defensive coordinator, has that defense playing very, very good right now.
He hasn't played good every year.
Yeah. I think he's new, though. I don't think he was there last time. I think he's their new defensive coordinator. Anyway, they look a lot better than they have in they've always been a solid defense, but I think this year they look elite. Jim Schwartz. Sorry.
Yeah.
And Denzel Ward looks very good. Greg Newsome, who did get injured at the end of that game, I think he'll be fine though. So yeah, they're a good defense. It's just they're kind of similar to the Steelers, who they did play yesterday. Very good defense. Just the offense cannot get anything going. And now without Nick Chubb, I think it's going to be even worse. And we'll see what Deshaun Watson can do. But a $250 million man is.
You expect more from him. That's all I got to say.
What would be the difference right now if you have Jacoby Brissett there, or if you had Deshaun Watson?
I think if you had Jacoby Brissett, you're 2-0.
Maybe they won that game yesterday with Jacoby Brissett.
I think you're 2-0 with Jacoby. I can't even lie.
But as much as I know everybody wants to hate on Deshaun Watson, he's a shit human being. But that Steelers defensive front was putting a lot of pressure on him, and as good as that Cleveland Browns offensive line is, they were still having trouble with that Steelers defense. So he didn't have much time in there. He was kind of all over the place. That game felt long yesterday though. It felt like it was taking forever. The halftime came. I'm like, wow, I thought it would be like the fourth quarter by now. But, and I think the Browns, they're probably not going to make the playoffs, so I'm not too impressed with them.
No, me neither. And then moving on to the Steelers, I think you pretty much covered it. All defense, no offense. Kenny Pickett doesn't look too great. All that preseason hype, I bought into it. Really not looking good. The only light that they have maybe going forward is Jalen Warren looked really, really good yesterday.
Najee Harris is terrible.
I mean, 10 carries for 43 yards. He's averaging 4.3 a pop. Did not feel like it.
Because he had a few decent runs, but overall, for his career, really, it's just you pick this guy in the first round, you're expecting a running back that has like game-changing upside, like a Bijan Robinson or all these guys that go first round. Travis Etienne, you're expecting someone like that who they have an elite trait. What does Najee Harris do well?
Jumps high.
He
jumps high.
Yeah, he does nothing great at an NFL level. I think he's really just an average running back, and in my opinion, Jalen Warren's the better back. He's a smaller back, so I think he'll never really get just all the work. But I think him being the number one for Pittsburgh would be the best thing for them going forward. As for their passing offense, Kenny Pickett.
I don't know how Matt Canada's still employed.
Yeah, Matt Canada as well, man. I don't know what plays he's dialing up, but they ain't great. Kenny Pickett, he's obviously not in a great situation to succeed with Matt Canada calling the plays, but him as well, he's got to take some responsibility. That first pick that he threw on the first drive, terrible. I don't know what he was.
It's so bad.
Like,
so bad.
Who was he targeting? Was it Pickens? I think he was targeting Pickens. But whoever it was, man, he was clearly not open.
Grant Delpit had one of the easiest interceptions of his career.
That was just Kenny Pickett. I'm not impressed with. I wasn't really buying Kenny Pickett's hype early in the season. George Pickens is really the only thing going on in that offense. I think if Deontay Johnson was there, he would be the only thing going on there. But even Pickens, like first half, not much happening. I think that touchdown that he got really saved his numbers, and that was a botch coverage by Cleveland. That middle of the field was so wide open. I don't know what.
That was wild. I was watching this guy just run through everyone. I was like, what?
I don't know how he was that wide open in the middle of the field. But the Steelers, another team where there was hype on them, and I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs. Though they've been whatever. I think that if they're gonna do anything this season, it's gonna be on the back of that defense.
Yeah, which is like last 3 seasons. But yeah, let's move on to the New England Patriots. Impressive Week 1 performance against the Eagles. Almost beating them, almost doing it. Week 2, you get brought back down to earth against Miami. Mac Jones still had a decent day. It wasn't too terrible.
Bill O'Brien has the offense looking like a lot better than Matt Patricia did. That's for sure.
Well, that's what happens when you have an offensive coordinator calling an offense and not a defensive coordinator. But, yeah, anyways, Devontae Parker's the wide receiver 1 on this team.
My boy, Devontae Parker.
But I'm honestly excited to see what happens when Tyquan Thornton comes back. I want to see what this offense looks like with a speed demon like him on this team. Just someone who can spread the field. And can Mac Jones hit him on some deep shots? We'll see.
Hunter Henry's been good as well for them.
Solid.
He's a legit fantasy option. Hunter Henry.
Yeah.
I just think they're not too exciting with a team. You already know what it is with the Patriots. Their defense is always going to be quite solid. Their offense is going to be lackluster. Well, ever since Brady left, at least this is the Patriots. Their offense is going to be pretty lackluster, and they're going to run the ball.
Yeah. Christian Gonzalez looked good on that defense. Matthew Judon had a sack, which was nice to see.
But I don't think there's much more to really be said about this New England team. Next off, we'll move on to another disappointing team the past 2 years. The Denver Broncos. They had a huge lead going into halftime against the Washington Commanders, and they shut the bed. What's new? Especially the ending of that game. They throw a Hail Mary. They get it.
Russ chucked up a prayer and it connected.
Somehow they get it. And they don't convert the 2-point conversion. Do you think that was a pass interference on Benjamin St. Juste?
I mean, look, it happened. There was definitely a hold. There was definitely something there, but refs didn't call it.
Our Montreal compatriot, we're sticking with him. That wasn't a PI.
It wasn't a PI, but he was holding his helmet, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. No, it just I mean, Denver shouldn't have won that game. That Hail Mary should not have connected. Mm. But impressive comeback from the Commanders, like we went over earlier. Denver Broncos defense.
One thing I gotta say though with Denver's offense, get Marvin Mims the ball, man.
Yes, sir.
You saw on the limited amount of targets he got. What did he got? Two catches.
113.
113. This guy is a deep threat, can catch a deep ball. He's even decent running routes. I would like to see him utilized more, especially with the way Russell Wilson plays. He should be a very good weapon for this Denver offense. I'd like to
this is another team. You have $240 million invested in a quarterback. How do you feel?
I feel even worse than at least Cleveland. Like each game, there's been we're coming up against Steelers defense.
There's been an excuse.
There was rain. He's rusty. Russell Wilson, the age, how he's looked. You got Sean Payton there. It's just bad, but on another, it hasn't been that bad.
I mean, he was okay.
He looked better. He looked
better than last year, that's for sure.
Yeah, even this, he looked better. At least he was throwing the deep ball a bit.
18 for 32, 308, 3 touchdowns and a pick. It's not a bad stat line. Like, I mean,
you're not going much far with him though.
You're only 18 completions on 32 passes is not great. That's barely over 50%. And
but I'm disappointed with their defense as well. This is a defense that last year were winning them games.
Well, the first half they were winning them. There was all just complete shutout the Commanders, and then they just fell asleep. Mm-hmm. The whole team just went to bed.
I think Denver, like the Raiders, gonna be a team that they're gonna win some games against weak teams, but they're gonna not be much. By mid-season, I don't think we're gonna be talking much about the Broncos.
No, I agree.
And now we'll get into our last tier, the basement of the league. These 5 teams, I think, it's not great. These guys are some of the worst teams in the league in the first 2 weeks. We've got the Texans, the Giants, the Cardinals, the Panthers, and finally, our worst team in the NFL, the Chicago Bears.
Finally coming to light.
I was about to say the Buffalo Bears. I don't know where that was coming from. But anyway, we'll start off with the Houston Texans. We talked about them a bit earlier. It's promising to see their offense with Nico Collins, Tank Dell, and CJ Stroud. It's just Damian Pierce is a guy who very disappointing.
Yeah.
He's losing work to Devin Singletary and another guy, Ochwe, I can't remember. What's his name?
Maybe we'll figure that out. Oh my god. Ogumbuale.
Yeah, well, he had like 20% of the work this week. The snap share is not looking too great for Damian Pierce, so if you drafted him in fantasy, I think it's time to panic there.
I don't think it's time to panic.
It's looking like a committee. Devin Singletary's got in.
Not really. I mean, just the thing with Pierce, right, is he had 15 carries. Singletary had 4. Just Singletary was more productive.
He was there for a lot of the snaps, though. Singletary and whatever.
Ogumbuale. Yeah, no, they were. Damian Pierce not utilized too much in pass-heavy formations, which, I mean, can be a bit of a worry. But I think in running formations, Pierce is your one. It's just you want to see more from him. Obviously, coming up against a very, very strong Colts front in DeForest Buckner. So maybe that's why it wasn't a positive game script. Definitely a thing to keep an eye out for, but I think this team, out of all the teams in the bottom feeders,
I think they have hope. Like,
they have one of the highest upsides.
Yeah, I think their fans have something to look forward to. In week 1, I thought Houston's defense looked good. This week, it was questionable. It wasn't as good, but they're a bad team. Like, they're a young, bad team. It's gonna fluctuate week to week, but at least on both sides of the ball, you're seeing some flashes. So I think for these teams, for at least a fan, if you're a Texans fan, I think you have something to look forward to.
No, I agree. But anyways, let's move on to
the New
York Football Giants. What do you think about them?
I think, man, that first half, it was looking.
It was grim.
They were gonna be at the bottom of this list if it wasn't for that second half. You obviously come back. You know, it's a nice story. Oh, you came back, but you came back against the Cardinals. Like, it was impressive second half. Impressive. It was whatever. I think they're coming on Thursday Night Football. If they're gonna perform anywhere near how they have in the first 2 weeks, they're gonna get absolutely eaten alive by the San Francisco 49ers on Thursday, especially with Saquon Barkley out injured now.
Oh, there's no hope.
I think with I predicted it preseason. I'll take my victory lap here. I don't think the Giants were gonna do much, and I don't think they're gonna be doing much this season.
I mean,
last year it looked like a fluke.
If Saquon's out long term, I would have to agree. I don't think Daniel Jones is going to be able to replicate what he did in the second half often. I think, he hit his peak, and now he's going to be like on some sort of hibernation for the next few weeks. But
you had to beat the Cardinals.
Yeah. It had to be a little more. Like, if you were leading all game and you were up, and the Cardinals, it was just a story of your defense didn't play too great, it would have been a different story.
But you cannot go down to Josh Dobbs' Cardinals that early.
You cannot go down to that bald man. I don't. Anyways,
let's move on to them since our next team will talk
about the Cardinals, and
it's encouraging. They're better than we thought.
Oh man, this poor team.
They got we talked about it earlier. It was very similar to week 1. They have playmakers: Hollywood, Rondale Moore. They'll get them something. James Conner's number 1 in that backfield. They capitulated. Let's keep it blunt. They capitulated in the second half. There's nothing more to it, man. It wasn't pretty, but Cardinals fans, this is what they expected. It wasn't going to be pretty this year. They want losses. At least they're seeing something decent, and they're coming out with all. So for the Cardinals, it's a W. They're looking at Caleb Williams, Marvin Harrison Jr. That's what they're really looking at.
Potentially trading it. I don't know.
Yeah. So right now it's looking like a W for them. Actually, on the Texans, they don't have their first round pick this year. The Cardinals have it. So the Cardinals are looking like they're gonna have 2 top 5 picks right now.
That can be kind of interesting to see the Cardinals next year. But anyways, let's just wrap this up.
We'll move on to the last 2 teams. The Panthers played yesterday. I just think they set them up to like their defense is decent, but now that JC Horn's out, it's what I'll give them more credit than that. It was good. The defense was good against a pretty good Saints offense, pretty decent Saints offense. It was not bad, but the offense is just Bryce Young is being thrown to the wolves. That offensive line, terrible. Run game, not great. Miles Sanders, there was huge expectations to have some workhorse End of the game, Chuba Hubbard was out there for all the passing downs.
Yeah, that
Miles Sanders is not. He's whatever. He is what he's been his whole career. Mediocre running back, middle tier running back. You're looking at their weapons on offense. Who's Bryce Young throwing to? Adam Thielen was their top guy yesterday.
I mean, yeah, 7 catches for 54 and a touchdown.
Exactly.
That's what you expect from Adam Thielen, 50 to 60 yards.
Was Chuba Hubbard their second leading receiver?
Chuba Hubbard was their second leading receiver with 5 catches for 34
and that
yards.
was mostly at the end of the game when the game was basically over. Jonathan Mingo. I think Jonathan Mingo looks all right, but not really getting much. DJ Chark comes in yesterday. Not much to speak about on his end.
I just feel bad for Bryce Young. They like you said, they threw him to the wolves, man. He has shown glimpses though of being good.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've seen some nice things from Bryce. I think they got themselves a real good quarterback here. It's just, is he going to be able to like have the mental toughness to just
for me
be able to
I never understood trading for the first overall pick and you're trading your number one receiver. It's like you're trading your number, and if you're gonna get someone in return or sign someone that could live up to that, we obviously knew from last year, especially you knew, Adam Thielen was not that guy. We know he's not a number one receiver for your first overall pick.
Not anymore. He had that role maybe like 4 or 5 years ago when it was like him and Diggs were still like were on the team and he was pretty solid. But I mean, he's he's an older guy. He's lost a step. It's not his fault. It's just that's what happens with age, and can't really get that separation you want anymore. He really does. He's not a fast guy, so great route runner. I still think he can get a little bit of separation, but as soon as he catches the football, he's getting tackled.
Yeah.
Unless he has a cornerback attached to him, then he doesn't have that edge that you want as your number one.
This is what it is with Carolina though. All these years, they have a good defense, promising defense. They have some decent weapons on offense. DJ Moore, LaVisca Chenault, whatever. They have stuff.
They have potential.
They have stuff, but they never have the quarterback. You finally get the quarterback, and now your receiving options are terrible. There's always something missing with this team.
There is. I mean, hopefully they can fix it out for Bryce Young, and hopefully it doesn't just get fed to the wolves. But yeah, let's move on.
And our final team, the worst team in the NFL, the Chicago Bears. Justin Fields. It's time I'm done with these excuses with this guy.
Is it time to take the blame?
It's finally time. I was watching a bit of tape on him this morning, and man, this guy takes too long to get rid of the football. It feels like he really he doesn't trust he has no instincts to playing quarterback, I gotta say. Okay,
there's no pocket presence.
We see he has the check down a lot of the time. He doesn't take it. He takes the sack. He has a guy wide open. He takes the extra few seconds where his instincts, like a quarterback that's played quarterback, he's played quarterback obviously, but a legit quarterback that knows what he's doing and has the instinct, he'll get the ball out right away. You see Justin Fields, he takes extra time. I mean, I don't know. It just hasn't been great for Justin Fields.
Now you understand my preseason and bashing of Justin Fields. This team is going to suck. This team will always suck. Justin Jefferson just beat out the Bears' all-time leading receiver at 25 years old. How do you feel? How do you feel? That's sad.
That's embarrassing.
That's sad. Your team sucks. Team will always suck.
Your best quarterback in the last decade is Jay Cutler.
Team's horrible. It's still at the bottom. Never going to come back. I don't care what anyone says. Come at me, Bears fans. I dare you.
These guys, if they're going to get a top 10 pick this year, are you taking a quarterback?
Listen, it doesn't matter. They take any quarterback, it's a bust.
They should have done it this year.
No one goes to Chicago as a quarterback and turns out great. Literally no one. Every time they draft a top quarterback, they're a bust. Doesn't matter. They would ruin them. They destroy their whole career. They destroy this fucking person's livelihood. They will never play football again. Just look at Mitch Trubisky. What did he do?
Nothing.
Can't even get in over Kenny Pickett. Just look at Justin Fields. What is he, a running back?
I think this is really... If he can't turn it around now, but even... He had, 3 rushing yards? For a guy like Justin Fields, who's known as...
4 carries for 3 yards and a touchdown. Did you see his rushing touchdown? He took it from one end of the field to the other for a yard. What the fuck are you doing?
It worked.
Yeah, it worked. Why are you making it so fucking complicated?
I don't know.
You had the check down was wide. Fuck, it was right in front of you. But no, you know what? Let me do the whole turn of the fucking field to go score this one fucking yard touchdown. I don't know. Anyways, whatever. Field sucks.
You look back at that quarterback class, though. Besides Trevor Lawrence, it isn't looking good. Zach Wilson, bust. Trey Lance,
Bust.
no, not bust, but
Bust.
it's all looking good. Mac Jones,
He was probably the second best quarterback in that class.
which is kind of sad. He's a mediocre NFL quarterback. Not great for a first round draft pick.
No.
Justin Fields, not
Bust.
leaning towards bust.
He's a very big bust.
Who else in that class? Davis Mills. Who knows what's happening with him these days?
Is he still employed?
Really, Trevor Lawrence was the only guy in that class that looks good right now, and yeah, it's kind of sad. I feel for Bears fans because it's like
Why?
they've been going through hell.
So what? It's beautiful.
Anyway, these are our power rankings. We've gone on for pretty long, about an hour and 10 minutes here. This is what our list is from 1 to 32. Hope you guys enjoyed the list. We might have our preview episode this week. We're not 100% sure. We might have something going on. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this episode of the BGF podcast, our power rankings. Let us know in the comments if you like this system with the tiers, with us doing power rankings instead of just going over the games, because we kind of get to go over two type of things here. And I don't know if we actually, before we leave, our survivor picks from last week, we forgot to mention them.
We're still alive.
We're still alive. I chose the Bucks. He chose the Niners. They both came out with wins, so we stay alive for week 2. And we did mention that you won, so you're right now winning 1-0. So hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.